Welcome to one of my favorite editions, the segment where we present cards that you don't know are that expensive and you might have laying around being rich and you don't know it. And today we have Jamin again.
Yeah.
We did this already.
I work for this company. I look at card prices like a lot.
So you gotta be spot on, you think?
Oh, I'm not sure.
A good strategy is probably to, at least that's what I'm doing when people ask me, oh, I think it's worth, to just go a little over the top, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just say just a little more because you know there's something about it. Before we go into it, of course, if you want to keep knowing which cards are hot right now, you have to subscribe to this video. Write why you really like it, what card surprised you, what you have in mind when you find all the monies and the cash, what you buy.
Yeah, what are you converting these cards into?
But also on the other hand, I mean, if you're planning to pick up some of those cards, maybe you do it now because they might get more expensive.
It really depends on the reprintability, right? Let's get into the first one.
Very good, the reprintability. Okay, number one.
Mayhem Devil. I opened boosters recently with that card in it. Like, War of the Spark wasn't that long ago.
No, it was like 3 years or something.
Yeah. I'll say, as a price trend, 80 cents because it's an uncommon.
Yeah, I mean, there also have been a lot of good uncommons from that side.
Yeah.
As you remember. Okay, we also play a little mini game today because we're learning something each episode. And this time around, we're learning something about foils.
All right.
Which also makes you have to guess the foil price of this.
It is a very popular card. Like, sacrificing is a very popular theme also in Commander, but it is two colors, black and red. I'll go with €5.
Okay, so you said 80 cents, right?
Yeah.
The price right now, we go with price 10 on Cardmarket, as you can see on the screen, is €2.40.
What?
Almost like...
That's basically like the price of a booster back then.
Yeah, exactly. If you open a booster,
Holy moly.
yeah, feeded by a lot of sacrifice synergies. It's played in Pioneer sometimes, sacrifice, all those things.
Also, War of the Spark was before the rise of treasure tokens, right? So like with all the treasures being generated, pretty certain.
Pretty
like
good.
we had treasures in Ixalan,
Yeah.
but not to the extent that we have them today.
Yeah, no, I mean, they realized treasures are a great mechanic,
Yeah,
so they put it in. The foil version, and now this is crazy, believe it or not, it's €14. 14. That's like almost a 7x.
That's what I pay for like most mythics in standard.
Yeah. So if you have a foil laying around because you picked it up in draft, like
That's absurd.
€14. Some of those foils where I think like, oh yeah, you know, they're not bad. They're actually really, really good.
I often look through, like I have a box of foils, just random foils.
Yes.
Right?
I mean,
I should look through again.
also what I keep recommending when people like sort out cards, always sort those foils. You don't know which foils are popping off.
Yeah.
It's like, if you looked at the card back then, you certainly didn't think it would be this. All right. Number one. Very good. Number two.
Let's see. Swan Song. Ooh, all right. That's a card I loved. It was released right when I started playing more actively. I loved the card. And I recently sold a non-foil one. I recently sold one. And I think I sold it for like €4. I'll go with €4.
Don't you have my trick in mind?
Just guessing a bit over.
You sold it for €4. I mean, obviously it popped off a little bit.
I guess, yeah, I probably sold it below price trend because I'm not huge on Cardmarket. Can I adjust to 5? Go ahead, take it away.
But actually, this one also is kind of insanely flexible in everything it does, right?
Yeah.
You can play in Commander, it costs only 1 blue. You really don't care about the downside of the token. I mean, let me tell you the story of sponsoring something and then getting hit by the token 10 times because, let's be honest, you countered something. It's not that the token is gonna go anywhere else, but
honestly, if you're behind, the Swansong token most likely will even attack the player furthest ahead. And if you're ahead, hopefully you have an advantage that doesn't care about a 2/2 token.
Yeah, and there are two ways of the coin. Like when you counter something to push something through, the token doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're defensive, well, then they have the token, but at least you're not dying to something.
Yeah, and you're probably behind, so like,
yeah. So that card is worth €9. 9, and I think actually only was reprinted once, and that's Commander 16, so it's a long time ago. And when people want to pick that up for new Commander decks or for now Pioneer or one of those things, you have to get it. And it's also something that is really hard to replace in the same effect. Like it's very outstanding.
1 mana hard counters are hard to come by.
Now, what do you think it's worth in foil?
I mean, this time it's easier because I already know the regular price, so I'm going to go with €20.
What I find really astonishing about the foil price, you don't really get to know the price like from the card itself. So this one is 18, which is only a 2x multiplier, which doesn't make much sense. I kind of have like a little bit of the rule, like whenever the foil price is too close to the real price, I mean the smaller the multiplier get, the better it is, like the better the card looks to buy, because then you're kind of like getting the foil price even more best because like they're obviously.
Do you stick by that rule even with today's set boosters and collector boosters?
Yeah, that's like all of those numbers are so hard to evaluate nowadays because also the different artworks dilute. Right?
Yeah, they do dilute the availability of the cards.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So sometimes it even happens that the normal artwork is rarer than the real.
It literally happened to me today. I listed the wrong version of a new Dominaria card. I listed the regular version. The person who bought it wanted the stained glass version, so we arranged. But it's wild. The stained glass one was less wanted than the other one.
Sometimes the artwork is just cleaner, like nice. Some people have just a very distinct hate against like something that's not the other thing. Yeah, but what I say, if they're too close in price, it's pretty like a good indicator that they might go up.
Yeah, so whenever you spot an older card where the two prices are close, you just pick up the foil version?
You can pick up both. I think they're a good sign off for both. But all right, number 3.
Let's see. Soul Guide Lantern. Toffel. Are you picking cards that I recently sold?
Well, you also sold that.
Yeah,
good.
I looked through my bulk boxes. Oh no, I cracked a booster of
This
Thoralf.
is actually what we're doing, right? Look through your bulk, find those cards and sell them, and then realize, wow, that kind of bought me a dinner.
I think I sold it for €2.
Yeah, pretty good on.
Nice.
€2, some cents, 2.30 or something. Yeah, I think it's outstanding. €3 beyond both. Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. The set is only 2 years old.
Yeah.
This was like start of the pandemic, 2020 last players tour.
Yeah.
And an uncommon is worth that much.
Somewhat has this accessibility problem that people didn't draft, right? So not many boosters have been opened in those sets that have been over the pandemic, but also that card is just flexible. Like it's very good in Commander.
I guess the addition of Pioneer also helps a lot because in Modern you just play Relic of Progenitus, right?
Yeah. If you picked up Magic like quite recently, you could have that laying around because it's much more sense.
Yeah.
There are usually two ways of finding cards are really cool. Either you have them around from recently and they somehow like just are very good, or very old cards, which we get to later, that are somewhat worth something. Foil price.
Foil price. This is tournament relevant, right? This is not Commander. Tournament players don't care about foils. I'll go with €3 to €4. I'll settle on 350.
Yeah, €4. Exactly. Even less than a 2x multiplier.
Yeah.
So it's quite random, I would say. So you kind of have to check every card individually.
My personal guess would have been that the more casual a card, the higher the multiplier, because tournament players, they actually dislike foils because they curl and kind of make your deck illegal.
Yeah, there's one specific form of tournament player who love foils for whatever reason.
Legacy?
Yeah, Legacy and Vintage. Like, if you look at like Spell Pierces, Considers, like all of those things that are really obviously eternal playable, they usually have a very high foil multiplier.
So let me tell you about Spell Pierce. That card had 1 billion reprints recently.
But still, like the foil versions are quite things. And also very old cards are very expensive.
Of course.
Like everything Invasion or like earlier than Invasion, old frame foils, very expensive. Yeah.
Next card?
Number 2.
Reconnaissance. 1 white, remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. I read a tweet about this, how it was like underplayed in Commander, because it's really nice to, trigger. You can trigger so much. You can Inspired, you can trigger with it, but you can also just safely attack with like Kalia of the Vast or something.
It always makes like your creatures that you have unblocked. If you have more, right?
Oh yeah, true.
If you have like 5 creatures and your opponent has 3, you can push two of those through. Yeah. Like,
all right. I'll say €8.
That's almost correct. Yes,
oh
very good.
Man!
760 on price stand here on Cardmarket.
Man, how am I so close? I had no clue. Like I had clues about these. No idea about Reconnaissance.
Very, very good. As you said, it's a very powerful niche card. Obviously, it's older and that quite restricted in accessibility.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things very hard to reprint, as the effect doesn't exist to this point anymore.
Yeah, these days, this wouldn't be printed these days anymore, would it?
It has a lot of just design decisions they wouldn't do. Zero activate is already like a huge red flag. If you have something that triggers by targeting, like some of the cephalids, it's always like everything you put on the stack infinite times. Remove from attacking is something they don't do very often and stuff. It's basically really
It also makes the fundamental part of Magic really unfun, where, hey, we're supposed to be interacting with creatures, but my opponent's just attacking with everything. And
there's no decision, because it takes the decision away of actually making an attacking decision. What do you think it's in foil?
So we just talked about how all the old foils are insanely expensive. And this card apparently is almost 10 euro on itself. I'll go with 35.
You're not correct. Whoever of you thought like...
Oh no. Is there a foil version?
No.
No!
Whoever like took some note of this, Exodus didn't have foils yet.
When was this printed?
Exodus.
1998. I was 1 year old. How is 1 year old Jamin gonna figure out if there are foils?
It's very good for 1 year Jamin, because if this could have been foil, eating the card is much more harmful to your body, so you're just eating it naturally. It's fine. But obviously, if you don't have a foil, that makes the normal one just cooler, because that's the only thing that happens. All right, cool. Number 1.
Final card?
This is my favorite. Obviously, it's number 1.
Lord of the Void. Whenever Lord of the Void deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 7 card of that player's library, then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield under your control. 7 mana, 7/7 flyer. So first thing that makes me think is this was printed like half a year after Griselbrand, and Griselbrand is the much better card. I remember this being a bulk rare, because you don't cast 7 mana creatures.
Mythic.
Oh yeah. Bulk mythic, but you included it here today, right?
I can tell you it's not bulk anymore.
and it's your favorite card for today.
Some of those cards, you just look at them, and I mean, obviously, they're quite long forgotten in your memory, because you haven't seen that for quite a while. And then it's like, oh, that's neat. That's probably worth a little bit. I mean, it's a demon.
All right,
costs
putting everything together, we've learned today about old cards and like random cards spiking, and you putting this at number 1. I'll go with 20 euro.
It's not that bad. Like,
Right.
It's the right ballpark. You went way over top. It's 15 euros.
Okay, so I obviously guessed 20 euros because you were like, oh yeah, always guess higher, yada yada. But 15 euros? I remember this card, like this would have been in bulk boxes in stores.
Like, you remember when you think it's like, oh, I wish my previous self would have just bought this for 20 cents.
Nobody wanted this card.
I'm still not quite sure why somebody wants that now, but it's what it is, you know? And people seem to play it. I'm not quite sure. Like, I haven't even seen that around in Commander that much, although it's a cool effect. But
you put it's a worse bribery. You don't even.
I don't know. It gives 3 devotion. Maybe that's the point. You know.
It's outrageous to guess 20 euros, and it's still outrageous for it to be 15 euros. Do you have the foil price for this one?
Yes.
Oh no. Oh no. So I assume the price stems from like demon collectors or something, or demon decks. I don't know. Maybe kitchen table players love demons.
Maybe you in the comments can elaborate to us. We only see numbers and effects.
I mean, it's interesting because Thoralf and I are or used to be very competitive players, so we don't have the other side of the picture. If you're into this card, please explain it to us, because there's
some cards you really see clearly the commander value. Right? If you see Reconnaissance, then it's obvious that this card is meant and because of this so expensive. But Lord of the Void, let's say even if it's good in Commander, it's really restricted where you can play it. It costs triple black. It's a demon creature, so it's...
Anyways, explain it to us. No shame in liking this demon. We all play with cardboard rectangles. I'll guess 30 euros, because that's twice the amount.
Yeah, around about correct. 36 euro.
36.
2 points.
Too low.
2, 3, 4 multiplier. I thought this was like a much higher multiplier, because usually when those cards are like those old mythics, they're in foil like even more rare than anything else.
I mean, 36 is still absurd for something that was considered bulk at some point. I'm sure you could have picked the foils up for like 2, 3, 4 euros back in the day.
But to be fair, it's also a little bit harder to sell foil mythics in that price range.
It is.
If I'm pretty sure if you put in this card a little bit under the 50 euros, you sell it quite easily. But if you have the foil one, it might take a little bit.
All right, so this is definitely, I understand why this was your number 1 now. This is definitely the biggest upset.
No, sometimes I just look at cards because we also buy and sell them regularly, and it's like, wow. Eventually we can also make like an episode about the ridiculous foil multipliers that are sometimes there. Like, I think in the first episode, we talked about this quite briefly with one card about oak bordered frames, where you have rares that are regularly 50 cents and the foil version is like 50 euros.
Yeah, Pemin's Aura,
we
exactly.
discussed. Yeah. So if you want to see one of those episodes, write in the comment. If you've seen cards that you think are surprisingly expensive, then write those in the comments and we use them for one of the later episodes.
Toffel can't just pull all of them out of his brain forever. He doesn't have infinite brain space.
This is like a collective effort, right? If you write something that you find outstandingly surprising, then we just share it and then people can make note of it and sell it as well.
With that being said, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because that's, the measure we take to judge the success of our videos and kind of justify this to keep doing it. For now, we'll see you in the next video.